In this learning session on creating effective learning and performance objectives, we're going to learn the importance of each of the key pieces of information that need to be in your objectives in order for them to work. When you're done with this learning session, you'll be ready to create clear, effective, and measurable learning objectives. Let's get started. Having objectives is like having a map. Your team will know what to build, the learner will know what to learn, and management will know what benefit to expect. Being clear about the objectives helps you verify that you've got enough good quality content in order to support the learner and assessment that measures each and everything they should learn. Not surprisingly, many courses are put out that don't state clear objectives, wander through the content, and leave the learner wondering what they were supposed to get out of that time they spent with the course. This practice gets by unnoticed if the organization measures the success of training by the fact that training was created and taken. But doing this makes the learning function weak. We become easy targets for budget cuts because no one can see the value of what we do. So, help your team, your learner, and your leadership see the value in your training by defining learning and performance objectives at the outset. A lot of the time when we think about our objectives, we say learning objectives. I challenge you to go further. Think of objectives that require the learner to both learn and demonstrate improved performance. Why? Regardless of what organization you are a part of, you and your leaders care about using learning as an investment that will help people perform better. It's not enough to know. People must also do, and do well. As learning and development professionals, we may enjoy learning because it feeds our brains and makes us happy. However, very few, if any, of us are paid to spend our lives learning just to fascinate our brains. There's always some other reason beyond learning to invest in education. You'll need to spend some time thinking, reading, and even interviewing key people in your organization to determine what performances matter to them. To make sure that our expectations for the learner are realistic, we talk about the conditions in their environment and their personal experience that are important for their success. Sometimes we express this as the givens or basic things that need to be in place. For example, if I were building a training on manufacturing safety and the ability to perform a task well was dependent on the equipment being well maintained and safety equipment being readily available, I would include those key pieces in my conditions. No amount of training will overcome equipment that is malfunctioning or the absence of safety gear. Next, you want to state what observable performance you reasonably expect to see in the learner as a result of the given conditions. We're going to be specific enough in our example so that people understand that one of our objectives is the correct completion of each of multiple steps in a process. Now, one of the challenges with this objective is that it is compound. It really contains several goals at once. In the end, it will be hard to build the training and the assessment because it's not as clearly organized as it could be. When it comes to safely executing a manufacturing process, each step deserves care and has criteria by which it can be judged as well done. If we separate the pieces of the process, we can be sure we're supporting the learning with sufficient instruction in each step and that we access each step, leaving no weak spots in the process. In this example, the process is now broken out to its 4 key actions, but it is still not specific enough. Each of the 4 process steps is not yet well enough described for us to know if the learner has done them well when we observe them. For each, we'll add some descriptive criteria that define what a good performance looks like. Just to illustrate the point, and to be sure we don't run too long, we'll just do one so you get the idea. So, for the step of removing the hex nut, we can identify 6 criteria that would help us judge whether the person did this step well. Once we do this for all 4 steps of the process, you can imagine we've got a lot of detail around each objective. When we have several objectives, if any of them are related, it can help people understand the overall structure of the training if we group them together. So, here we see again the simple objectives without their criteria. The overall goal is that the worker can perform this entire process well. So, we could say we've got a high-level objective about the process. The top goal, shown as letter A here, is that the worker can successfully complete the entire assembly press process. To do that, she also needs to successfully complete each step. So under the high-level objective, you have supporting objectives shown here with numbers. So, once you can observe that the worker has performed each step well, and in order, then you have documented proof that the worker has mastered the main objective of completing the assembly process successfully. And if the worker is struggling somewhere in this process, by evaluating the worker at a granular level, you'll know exactly where the issue resides. An objective is only useful if it is measurable. Instructional designers tend to use action words to start each objective that are observable. Some use a hierarchy of words referred to as Bloom's taxonomy. The idea is that certain words such as learn or understand are not directly measurable. Instead, we use certain words like define or identify if we plan to give the person a simple multiple choice test. We use words like describe or explain if we want the user to demonstrate, in their own words, the concepts they've learned. We can go even further by choosing words like create to require learners to show that they've internalized the information and can use it in a way that is meaningful on the job. This is just a quick look at action words. For more on this, you'll want to look for resources on Bloom's taxonomy. So, in this learning session, we've discussed the key elements that are necessary for your objectives to be effective in getting to results your leadership cares about. First, well-written learning and performance objectives are your roadmap. They guide you in development content and assessment. They guide your learner what to focus on. And they guide leadership in understanding what business benefit to expect from the training investment. The performances you focus on are those that the organization values. The objectives are specific as to the conditions in which the learner works and realistically possible for the learner to achieve. If objectives are plentiful, they are organized into large goals and smaller supporting goals so the learner can understand the details in the context of the whole. And, finally, objectives are written using words that prompt the assessment creators to make the right degree of rigor in assessment and advise the learner what's expected of them. You've now set the stage for your learning development project to be valuable to your organization. Well done!